Speaking of sucking things out of the room, it's time for me to give a game pitch this week, right? It's my turn.
Are you gonna wait? You said speaking of sucking things out of the room, is this pitch gonna suck?
Yeah, absolutely. So so let me set the scene in this sort of quarantined, shut down, shelter in place world, right? I'm in Colorado. And so we haven't got an official shelter in place order yet, but we do have a lot of non-essential places closed. I feel like most of the country is at that spot now. And so one thing that we did get, our governor opened it up for restaurants and bars to have alcohol to go. I don't know if you've heard this, but
wow.
Yeah, so you can go there's a place right around the corner from my house called Salsa Brava. It's a cool local spot, which anyone listening, support your local businesses right now. Anyway, so Salsa Brava, right? They're kind of like Mexican fusion-y food, and they're advertising right now. If you buy an entree, you can get a 2-liter thing of their house margarita and a bottle of tequila mixed in for $20 right now to go. Like, you just get a to-go jug of margaritas with an entree. And their sister restaurant, which is right next door, it's a breakfast spot called Urban Egg, is doing a breakfast version of that. So if you get a breakfast entree to go, right? Because you can't sit in, everything's to go right now. So if you get a breakfast entree to go, you can get a mimosa kit for $20. And I've seen so many places that are like, yeah, like, stop by, we'll give you booze to go, right? And there's obviously like rules in place to make sure people aren't like drinking and driving, and like the packaging is there. But it's amazing. And so it got me thinking, like, I think part of the reason why we're seeing that is because Colorado has this massive craft brew economy, and we have a really big like booze scene. We have a lot of really great whiskey distilleries, and we have like a moonshine place that's extremely popular just north of the Springs in Monument. And so kind of what I thought is, in the vein of sort of like a simulator, so like if you think like a Zoo Tycoon or like Roller Coaster Tycoon, right, where you have to like run these operations and like simulate it, how interesting could it be right now to have like a craft brew sort of like simulator where you like are running this brewery or like a whiskey distillery, right? Like if it's me, I'd be playing it as a whiskey distillery because I love whiskey. And like you're running what would normally just be like this game of you're making the whiskey and you have to like optimize it and make flavors and like how's the business output. But then like also you have this front end like to go storefront now that you also have to like manage, right? So it's very much like a Roller Coaster Tycoon where you're like building the theme park and like you have the business and the visitors you have to manage, but you're like doing it all around like whiskeys, and you're doing it where it's like you have to have the back end sense to like make the product and also like support like the customers and like sell booze to go, like have you can like make your front end not only sell finished bottles, but like you could create in-game like craft drinks with your product that could like boost your revenue, or like maybe they're a flop and like you have to figure out like how to save face, right? So like that's kind of my rough pitch. I know it's not the best, dear listeners.
No,
I appreciate
like it.
No, it's okay. You don't have to do that.
JD, I had a name for you too. I have a name for you.
Good, because that is something I don't have.
Okay, so you mentioned it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon. Just
It
call
is.
it On Coasters Tycoon.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Ooh, I like that a lot. Yeah, oh, that's good. That's
Gotta put your drink on a coaster, man.
I love it. That's it. On Coaster Tycoon. Anyway, if you're listening and you're on the Stadia team, that is available. That's an idea hot off my brain. And we're ready. We're ready to make that game for you, Stadia. So anyway, Jade, Shannon, sorry we made you listen to this pod for an hour before we got to your product idea, but it's worth it. I guarantee it. It's worth it.
Those two better love Animal Crossing. If they don't, I might have to rethink this whole Stadia stick of ours.
I think they do love it. One thing I don't love is this week's red card. You want to talk about that?